When someone ignores you, especially in a romantic relationship, the consequences can be more profound than many people realize. It's not just a simple act of giving someone space or a quiet moment. It triggers a series of emotional and psychological reactions that often lead to confusion, hurt, and sometimes resentment. The person on the receiving end of the silent treatment might wonder why they're being ignored, analyze their behavior, or even seek validation elsewhere. Ignoring someone is more than just an absence of attention. It's an emotional withdrawal that creates uncertainty and leads to unpredictable outcomes. Initially, when someone is ignored, they may try to make sense of the situation. They will replay recent events in their mind, searching for clues as to why this sudden distance has appeared. They'll ask themselves, did I say something wrong? Or is he mad at me for something? These questions reflect their confusion and hurt as they struggle to understand the reason behind the silence. For the ignored person, the lack of communication creates a void where there should be connection. It's often not just the silence itself, but the mystery behind it that makes the emotional pain so difficult to bear. When you ignore her, she may begin to experience what psychologists call emotional deprivation. This is the feeling of being neglected or rejected emotionally, and it can affect her sense of self-worth. In romantic relationships, emotional connection and validation are crucial for maintaining closeness. When that connection is severed by being ignored, it can leave the person feeling abandoned, questioning their value, and possibly even doubting the sincerity of the relationship. This emotional depletion can manifest in different ways. Some might become more anxious and needy, trying desperately to get attention from their partner. They may send text after text, check your social media, or reach out to mutual friends to get some insight into what might be going wrong. Others might turn inward, feeling confused and hurt, but afraid to reach out because they fear further rejection. This internal struggle can result in a cycle of overthinking, self-doubt, and frustration. In either case, the ignored person is left emotionally unsettled, unsure of what went wrong or why they're being treated this way. As time goes on, the ignored person may experience what is known as emotional distancing. In this phase, they start to protect themselves emotionally from further hurt. If they feel like their partner is withdrawing, they may subconsciously do the same, pulling back from the relationship to avoid further emotional pain. In essence, the emotional walls begin to rise. Instead of reaching out for clarity, they start to emotionally detach. This is often a defense mechanism to avoid feeling vulnerable or rejected. However, this emotional distancing doesn't necessarily mean that they no longer care. It's simply a coping mechanism. In some cases, the person may become increasingly frustrated or angry, but instead of addressing these emotions directly, they turn inward. They might even convince themselves that the relationship isn't worth the emotional effort anymore. The silent treatment becomes a double-edged sword. One person withdraws, and the other, feeling rejected, does the same, leading to a gradual emotional separation. When she realizes that her efforts to reach out have been ignored, it may trigger a deep sense of inadequacy. She might start questioning her own actions and wonder if there's something inherently wrong with her. This self-reflection can spiral into negative thoughts and insecurities. Often, it's not just the act of being ignored, but the fear that their partner might no longer care or love them that causes the most damage. The more she tries to seek attention, the more distant you become, which can create a vicious cycle. Now, here's where the shocking reactions begin. When ignored, some people will attempt drastic measures to regain attention. This could manifest in ways that might surprise you. For example, she might turn to social media for validation, posting images or statuses that reflect her emotional state, hoping to get your attention or the attention of others. It's almost as if she's broadcasting her emotions in an attempt to show that she's not okay and that she's being hurt. The intention here is not necessarily to guilt trip, but to signal that something is wrong and that she needs help or understanding. If the ignoring continues, she might resort to more direct methods of getting your attention, such as playing on your emotions. This could include making subtle or not so subtle hints about feeling hurt, maybe even talking about past conflicts or bringing up old memories. She might attempt to make you feel guilty for causing her emotional pain. While this behavior may seem manipulative, it's often a cry for help from someone who feels emotionally abandoned. This emotional manipulation is usually unintentional, as many people do not set out to manipulate others consciously. Rather, it is a natural reaction to feeling rejected and unimportant. Emotional manipulation might look like her talking about how her friends or family are noticing the strain in the relationship, or how she's struggling emotionally because of your distance. In some cases, she may even start comparing the relationship to others, pointing out how much happier other people seem or how much attention others are receiving from their partners. However, it's crucial to remember that when someone feels emotionally ignored, they may not always act in a rational or healthy way. They are simply trying to find a way to feel seen, heard, and valued again. The person being ignored may start to behave in ways that, while shocking or confusing, are ultimately just attempts to restore the emotional connection they once had. If these efforts fail, and the ignored person feels that they cannot get your attention or affection, they might start to pull away entirely. This is when the apathy sets in. Instead of continuing to try to win your attention, they may stop caring altogether. The apathy they display is not necessarily a reflection of their feelings toward you, but rather an emotional defense mechanism designed to protect themselves from further hurt. When someone feels that their efforts to connect have been met with silence and indifference, they may choose to shut down emotionally as a way to prevent further emotional injury. At this point, the relationship has likely entered a phase of emotional disconnection. She might stop trying to communicate, stop engaging in activities together, or even begin to mentally and emotionally detach from the relationship. It's a subtle, gradual process, but one that can lead to permanent damage if not addressed. Once apathy sets in, it becomes increasingly difficult to rebuild the emotional bond. The person who was once emotionally invested may find it hard to rekindle that warmth and affection as the emotional distance becomes ingrained. The long-term effects of ignoring someone can be profound. If you continue to emotionally withdraw, it can create a sense of irreparability in the relationship. Trust begins to fade, and the foundation of the relationship is eroded. When one person is consistently distant, it creates a power imbalance, where the other person may feel neglected, undervalued, and insecure. This, in turn, can lead to resentment and even emotional withdrawal on both sides. From a Stoic perspective, the key to handling situations where you're ignored, or where you ignore someone else, is to focus on what you can control. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the actions or emotions of others, but we can control our own responses. When faced with emotional turmoil or silence, Stoicism encourages us to reflect on our own emotional reactions and why we feel the way we do. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, we are taught to respond with calmness and composure. The Stoic approach to relationships is built on the idea of practicing virtue and understanding. Rather than ignoring someone because of anger or frustration, a Stoic would encourage clear communication. Instead of letting negative emotions control your actions, you would address the issue calmly and with empathy. By applying Stoic principles, you can avoid the emotional roller coaster of ignoring someone, choosing instead to respond in a way that promotes understanding, resolution, and growth in the relationship. For example, if you feel the need to withdraw emotionally, a Stoic would advise against passive-aggressive behavior. Instead, it's better to address the issue directly, express how you feel, and work together to resolve any conflicts. Stoicism encourages us to reflect on our own behavior and ensure that we are acting in line with our values, even when faced with challenging emotions. In the end, ignoring someone may seem like a simple way to deal with conflict, but it can have long-lasting consequences on both the person being ignored and the relationship as a whole. The emotional pain and confusion caused by ignoring someone are real, and the resulting behaviors can be shocking and unpredictable. The Stoic approach to these situations offers a way to manage emotions and respond with greater wisdom, leading to healthier and more fulfilling relationships. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon for more videos on philosophy and self-improvement. And hey, share this video with someone who might need a little calm in their chaos. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.